Hello, world. Welcome to the city that I call home, Los Angeles. Now, tonight, little Steven and his sidekick, Drew Carey, are presenting a host of celebrities and star educators, all to support the free TeachRock curriculum his Rock and Roll Forever Foundation shares with teachers nationwide. With educators across the country teaching remotely, that curriculum is more important than ever. And it's all made possible by people like you. So please make sure to pay them a visit and support the work at teachrock.org/donate. Tonight's show is star-studded. We'll be joined by superstar guitarist and songwriter Joe Walsh, Los Angeles Unified School District's Brian Fritch and Michael Sinclair, the actor, director, producer, activist, and believe it or not, rock and roll singing baseball player Edward James Olmos, legendary Doors guitarist Robby Krieger. Now, Principal Dr. Ginger Frady from TeachRock's partner school Orangethorpe Elementary joins with teachers Katie Duchsherer and Alyssa Larnerd. And finally, musician and photographer Henry Diltz. And now the man with almost as many professional skills as Edward James Olmos, Drew Carey.
Welcome to Little Steven's Roadshow, everybody, presented by Chegg. It's our third stop right now in Los Angeles, California. That's where I am right now, Los Angeles. Tonight's show is dedicated to Stevie's TeachRock.org program. That's what we're here for, TeachRock.org. It's a program whose mission is to integrate arts throughout the education system and provide distance learning resources to the millions of students currently learning from home. And tonight's show is really, really great. Los Angeles, we got a lot of options here in LA, but we got the best for you. We're going to be joined by Eagles legend Joe Walsh. That's right. Actor Edward James Olmos. The Doors' Robby Krieger, and celebrated photographer Henry Diltz. I'm very excited to talk to everybody. We also have Dr. Ginger Frady, who's the principal of TeachRock's partner school, Orangethorpe Elementary, right here in Southern California. She's here with teachers and students. And we have people from the Los Angeles United School District. Educators Michael Sinclair and Brian Fritch will tell us how they created an entire TeachRock history course. And thank you to actor, singer, and radio host Michael DeBar, my good friend Michael DeBar, for that fantastic intro. Way to go, buddy. And now, here's the right-hand man of Bruce Springsteen, the right-hand man of Tony Soprano. He's not my right-hand man, though. He's my boss at Little Steven's Underground Garage. Please welcome Stevie Van Zandt.
Thank you. I'll knock it off. Hi, Drewski. How are you?
Good, man. Nice to see you.
Yeah, how's the smoke up out there?
It's getting in my eyes, man. I'm tired of it.
Oh, man. Kind of reminds you of the old days, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I look at I have this air quality app I look at in the morning, and today it was only bad instead of really bad. So I went outside the house. But it smells like burning tires sometimes, like right outside my door.
Yeah, we got a really, really cool show this week. The last thing we did before the quarantine was checking out our partner school. Just one of the most exciting moments ever of my life. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah, that's really saying something, knowing your life, that was one of the most exciting things. It's pretty powerful.
I swear, it's like really cool.
Yeah,
so,
it is cool.
It makes me want to go back to school.
It's all coming together, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get started because we have so many great guests. These next two cats, Drew, they have gotten the curriculum into the legitimate school system. I mean, for real.
I thought it was the Los Angeles school system.
Well, it used to be legit. Please welcome Brian Fritch and Michael Sinclair.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing?
Hey, guys. Pay no attention to my banana. He's had a tough night.
I have.
Don't worry about it.
It is kind of amazing to me, somebody that lives here in LA, that you got such a big thing into the LA school system. It's like quite an accomplishment. Can you take us through a little bit about how you got that done?
Sure. Yeah, it's been years that I've been aware of TeachRock and Rock and Roll Forever, and so when we saw the shows and met everybody backstage, we met Bill and Randa, and we talked about bringing it to our school. So I had some PD, some professional developments, and Brian participated, and it turned out that Brian had at another school taught TeachRock and integrated it into an entire semester of one of his classes, and he was really enthused about it. And so we talked about the concept of, hey, could we make it into a course? And so I collaborated with Brian. Brian really wrote the course up based on basically the TeachRock curriculum. And we went through the process of our district. And Brian, I think didn't we start this in February? I think,
yes, I taught the course several years ago. We called it something else because we have to fall under an approved course list, and so I called it cultural awareness. And I taught history of rock and roll and used the curriculum. And then when I became a teacher at Bravo, Mike and I ran into each other, and it came up in conversation. He said, "Well, let's get this approved." And so we wrote up a curriculum and went through the approval process. And now it's an approved course for LAUSD for any teacher to take the opportunity to teach it. And so we're super excited. We're going to have it during our spring semester at Bravo High School. I think it's great. The kids, are going to be engaged because kids are so interested and engaged with music. We're really excited and can't wait to teach the course.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. Not only is it available to our students, we have 1,800 students at our school, but because it's in our district and it's an approved course in our district, that we've got 140,000 high school students in LA Unified School District. So wow. any high school in our district could offer this course. And because it was approved by the University of California as part of the college entrance requirements, class that could be taken by students to qualify as part of a sequence of courses to go to the University of California or the Cal State University campuses, which includes UCLA, which was just named the #1 public university in the country. It potentially is available to any high school to adopt in the state of California. We have 400 school districts with high schools in the state of California, and that means that there's about 1.7 million students in California who potentially could take this class at some point.
That's really amazing. Hey, Stevie, you come a long way since that teacher brought his bebop records into Blackboard Jungle. Remember that scene?
Come a long way since my music teacher let me play the first Who album. How did you deal with the grade levels? Did you leave it a little bit flexible for a couple of different grade levels, or?
Yeah, it's a social studies elective, so it really can be open to any grade within high school. I think we're going to be leaning towards the upper grades because that's when they have more of an opportunity to take electives. But any high school student could feasibly take it.
Okay.
At the risk of not sounding old, which I am, but do the kids not know any of these rock and roll songs because they're just like high school kids now? And they're
I had a girl and she's wearing a Nirvana t-shirt. This happened a couple of years ago, and I asked her, "Oh, you like Nirvana?" And she's like, "Who's Nirvana? I just like the shirt." So, and that's Nirvana. So you go back even further than that. Yeah, there's not there are some kids who definitely listen to some classic rock and some old stuff, but a lot of the kids don't listen to that stuff. And I think it's really great to expose them. I've taken some of the curriculum and I've made Spotify playlists so I can share a playlist with the kids and say, here's what we're going to be studying for this unit. Here's your playlist. Listen to this. And I have them write about what they're listening to and what they, feel about each song. And some of the kids really get into it and they get to discover new stuff they haven't listened to before.
So did you do the whole history, or are you doing it more like LA centric? You know what I mean?
I know I do the whole history, but I think I start with kind of the wide and bring it into LA. So at the end, we hopefully can do some kind of that documentary that's in the curriculum. They look at some of the local music that they have within their city.
And we're hoping to get some guest speakers from the local scene. I think I've met Henry Diltz and maybe Robby. Whoops. I don't know what just happened.
Nothing.
Over the years.
You're there.
Oh, there we are. And
Well, that was that was the original idea.
That.
That was the original idea I had. I hoped eventually to have such coverage in so many schools or in classrooms that any band on tour could actually stop into a school and sit in on a class and take part in that class. I mean, that's still one of our goals, eventually to do that. And that's why we try to cover all of the genres. It could be anybody. It's wonderful for the artists and it's wonderful for the kids. And it doesn't matter whether the kids are familiar with it or not. I think they enjoy it anyway, and it'll make the teachers, really look even cooler,
And the timeliness and the relevance of this, because of the situation we're in, because of distance learning, it's going to be something that I think kids are going to really be able to connect to, and it really we're going to be able to take advantage of the fact that we're online, that they have access at their fingertips. They're going to already be able to get to the online curriculum, music videos, and so on. And if we're doing something just like what we're doing right now, where we can bring some speakers in and guests in from really kind of anywhere in the country, and then eventually when we get back to being live, it'll be exciting to have live appearances too, if that's possible. I also wanted to mention, there was just today, I heard that speaking of the timeliness, there was a story that the current administration in Washington, D.C., I guess is not too excited about the 1619 project, the New York Times project, and they apparently established a 1776 commission to promote patriotic education. They don't really think that 1619 is patriotic, and so somehow they wrangled themselves a National Endowment of the Humanities grant in order to fund that. And the story on NPR, included a quote from, historians who are looking at it. And there was one, Hassan Kwame Jeffries at Ohio State University, who said that they disagree with the president's basic premise that studying America's flaws is somehow unpatriotic. And the quote from Dr. Jeffries is, he says, "That's absurd. The highest form of patriotism is critical analysis." And, this is exactly what I think this curriculum does, and why I think it's so important, for us right now at this time, to be bringing this to students.
Well, it's wonderful, man. And I hope the word can spread, and we can get that into as many classes as possible. But we know from statistics that if a kid likes one single class or one single teacher, it'll keep them in school, and that's one of our goals, is to improve the graduation rate in high school, and deal with this dropout epidemic that's going on. So we're hoping to do that. And obviously the more schools we're in, the more likely that is to have an effect. So we really want to thank you two guys. What a wonderful, wonderful thing you've done.
Yeah, you just gave me hope. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. And Stevie, especially you for having this vision and, bringing this. It's such an important project.
Well, it's exciting to see it coming alive. We've been working on it for 15 years, and it's really starting to see it, in its practical use. So it's really exciting. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'm very excited about our next guest, Drew.
Me too.
As we explore the craziness of LA. And I can't think of anybody better to explain the craziness of LA better than our next guest. Yeah, everybody, let's say hello to Joe Walsh.
Woo! Yeah. Hey. Joe and I were in a band together.
Yes,
No kidding?
On the Drew Carey show. We had a fake band, and he was on the show for like a year.
Yeah.
Called the Horn Dogs. He even showed up at my house. I'll never forget this, Joe, as long as I live. Knock at the door. I have my accordion out, which I can barely play. And Joe Walsh shows up to my house with a guitar and an amp to rehearse. And you can kill me. I'm all set to go.
Okay.
I went to Kent State University in Ohio. And got in the band and played downtown, putting my 10,000 hours
The Measles.
Playing cover songs. The Measles. Yeah.
What's the name of the band?
Playing cover songs, 3 sets a night, 3 nights a week. That's when we were good, Stevie.
Hey, Joe, we can't emphasize that enough, okay? Because people have been skipping that stage, lately.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important stage of our development is those bar band years,
Yeah.
when you're playing other people's songs, don't you think?
Yeah, everybody's trying to be a legend in their parents' garage, and that's not working for them. I know you got to get out and play in front of people because you can't be a good musician until you one night you really suck, and then you know about that.
Yeah.
And you know what to do, and you know how to fix stuff,
But by playing those other people's songs, you can you kind of raise your standards up, so you can have standards first of all.
Yeah.
So then now you start when you start writing songs, you'll have something to compare it to, other than what's on the radio these days, which is, unless you're listening to my station, is a big problem. How did James Gang? The James Gang was the first time you recorded?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I got to be, pretty good. I got to be pretty good. I was like the king of Akron, Ohio, in terms of the, top of the totem pole for guitar players.
Uh-huh.
And like in a five square area, I could sign autographs, but that was it. And then the James Gang was a Cleveland band, and their guy, who's a great guitar player, his name was Glenn Schwartz, and he's one of my mentors. He left Cleveland to go to LA to make it, which didn't happen. But I joined a Cleveland band, which was much bigger area, much bigger. We covered a lot more people, not just a college town. And I had to fill in his shoes. And those were big shoes. He was really good. And he was a dedicated blues guy. Just great. And he mentored me and showed me all about the blues. And then this is funny. One day, we were driving to Detroit to open for the Cream. It's not the Cream. Open for Cream at the Grandee Ballroom in Detroit. And there was like 4 bands on the show. But on the way there, when I joined the James Gang, there were some band dynamics in place that didn't concern me. I was aware of it, and that was that they fought a lot, but that didn't concern me. I was a new guy. But on the way to the show in Cleveland, 2 guys quit.
Oh, man.
At the rest stop, right?
Yeah, they had a big fight with the drummer.
Oh, man.
And they turned around. So we get in Detroit, and there's 3 of us, drums, bass, and guitar, and we have to play because we have to get gas money to go home. And I didn't even sing lead. Then our lead singer quit. He was one of the guys that quit. So I said, look, I know some Traffic songs, and I know, this song and that song, a Steppenwolf song. So I'll sing the first verse, and then we'll just play. All we have to do is play for 8 minutes, and then I'll sing that verse again. And if we do that 4 times, we'll get paid. And so we did. So in the middle of the song, there were no rules, and none of it. We didn't pay attention to each other. We just went out there, and it was full on go for it. And that was the beginning of the James Gang.
Man.
Holy Lego.
And when we got done with that gig, we looked looked at each other and said, well, we might as well keep going. And then all we did was do that. We did cover songs, sing the first and last verse, and the whole middle part was ours. And then we just replaced the first and last verse. And that's how the James Gang songs came about.
Man, all makes sense now.
And you never added a fourth guy?
No.
Oh, wow. That's ballsy. That's ballsy, Joe.
Stevie, there's nothing like a three-piece band on a good night. And on a bad night, there's nothing worse.
Oh, that's like
oh boy.
That's like improv. Nothing better than good improv. Nothing worse than bad improv. Now, when did you come out to LA?
Did you see the documentary Laurel Canyon yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was around at the time, but I was the perimeter. I was on the perimeter, but there was a community in LA of people who hadn't made it yet. And headquarters was the Troubadour. And I just started to hanging out with those guys. And eventually I just, I got as famous as I could get in Cleveland. And everybody went to LA to make it.
Now this is what, 67, 68?
Oh no, yeah, 67, yeah. Because Glenn Fry in Detroit was the same, We were in successful bands. He played for Bob Seger, but we knew that if we were going to be a part of something bigger, it was going to happen in LA. And that was just a community, We would hang out after the shows and play guitar and show ideas to each other. And for a while, we all lived in the same car. And it was great. It was magic. And you're right. I am one of the founding fathers of Los Angeles craziness, and I'm proud of it. Yeah. Vets Aid is an organization I started to help vets. And for two reasons. One, I'm a Gold Star kid. My father was in the Army Air Force, and he died when I was almost 2 years old.
Wow.
And so I always was resonant with Gold Star families who had lost a family member. And, playing all around the United States, I noticed that between the coasts, there's a wasteland of help. If you're a vet and you're in Nebraska, nobody understands what you're going through. But there's little pockets everywhere that are basically vet run, where they give help and you can go, and they have a suicide hotline number and stuff. And they fund themselves, but I decided to help those people. And so I started Vets Aid. And we played 3 years and had a great run, but then COVID came. But there's vet organizations, I don't want to name any, but Wounded Warriors is kind of an example, where they have so much administration costs that very little goes to the vets. And that's okay because they're in Congress and they lobby Congress and stuff like that. But every penny that we made goes to these regional vet centers to keep them going. And so that's what Vets Aid is all about.
Well, let me ask you this: when you were either in high school or college, were there arts classes at that point?
Yeah, we had that stuff in Montclair. Montclair had a good system when I was in high school, and I mean, back then you did. You had art and you had music, you know.
It was a regular thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I know that there's no music in schools anymore.
Yeah, that's why. That's what we.
Yeah, and that's awful. That's awful.
It really is. It really is. That's we I went to Washington D.C. to actually talk to the senators about it, and then it's not going to change. They said sorry, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why we started our our TeachRock.org curriculum, but it's music history. We decided, we're not going to get instruments into kids' hands at the moment, so let's at least do the history and get people excited about the history. And then with history, you can talk to all the kids. You don't have to talk to just musicians, which was nice. When schools come back into reality, if and when, you got to go down and see this this school that we have a partner school called Orangethorpe in Orange County. You'll see some people from that show on this episode, and you got to go down there and check this out, Joe. You'll get a kick out of it. We have it's kindergarten through 6th grade, and the entire school has integrated the arts into every single class. And man, and when you see it in action, man, it's mind blowing. I'm telling you. So I want to get you involved in that for sure. Check it out.
Yeah.
It was the last thing I did before it closed down, but before the quarantine.
Well, when I was in school, right, my grades varied between C- and D+. C's. I just wanted to graduate. I didn't care about anything, but the classes that I did great, straight A's in, were the classes that had a cool teacher, because they kept me interested, and I paid attention, and by far, my music and art department teachers, and even language, they were cool people. They were textbook, read the textbook. They were cool, and you got to get that to young kids.
Yeah, man, it's a big difference. It makes all the difference in the world.
Well, I'm a friend and an ally in that. Okay,
hey, thank you, man. Thank you. Anyway, all right, Joe. Say hi.
I love your show. Hi to everybody.
Thank you. Say hi to the family.
I will.
Buddy.
Take
care.
Your great wife and everybody who friendly with the whole family, and say hello. And we'll see you. We'll see you again soon.
No, I think you guys should stay 6 feet from each other. You guys should stay 6 feet away from yourselves. That's what I think.
All right, Dr. Joe. We leave with Dr. Joe's advice.
Yeah. All right. All right. I love you, man.
Love you too, man.
Take care,
all
buddy.
Right.
When COVID closed all the schools nationwide, teachers turned to TeachRock. TeachRock is the ultimate free online resource for K-12 teachers of all subjects. Those teachers continue to support our kids, even when they're teaching from home and managing the stresses of their own family lives. Though the uninitiated think that teaching from home must be easy, the truth is teachers are struggling. Creating remote lessons takes teachers much longer than classroom work, and engaging students you can't be with in person is an uphill battle. You might know that if you're joining your kids when they're doing their Zoom classroom calls. That's why TeachRock is more important than ever right now. Now, this fall, TeachRock staff is providing distance learning resources to the schools and full districts in its nationwide partner school network. There's over 200 standards-aligned K-12 lesson plans available for free to every teacher in the world at TeachRock.org. For free, any teacher that wants it. TeachRock.org. TeachRock is meeting the needs of educators during the pandemic, but they can only do it with your support. So please visit TeachRock.org/donate to join the movement to support teachers and students throughout this pandemic. That's teachrock.org/donate. Thank you.
So, Drew, right before the quarantine began, and I mean right before, like March 12th.
Wow. You're kind of close.
We were scheduled to visit our first partner school of the foundation. Now, this was a big moment because we've been working towards this for 15 years. And, we slowly gotten teachers using it and individual teachers and then some classrooms and then some schools started to officially accept it. But no school had ever committed to it completely in terms of integrating our curriculum and integrating the arts into every single class on every single grade level. So this was our first one, Orangethorpe in California. So we go and I was so glad I did. They shot a little bit of video.
Oh, good.
Yeah, let's just see a little bit of that.
I can't tell you how wonderful an experience this has been today. I'm so impressed with you guys. At the request of the Music Teachers of America, we were called the MENC back then, in the old days. And they said all the arts classes are being cut in the school system, especially the public school system. And could I go check it out and see what's going on? And so I happen to have a friend. I said, I got an idea, why don't we do a music history curriculum instead? In the end, our basic mission has been, I guess, three things mostly, which is keep the arts alive any way we can. Number two, to figure out a new methodology for teaching this generation of kids, which we realized quite early. I started visiting some school classes and realized these kids are being taught the same way I was taught, which is, learn this now and someday you'll use it. And I thought, this is not going to work anymore. These kids are smarter than us and faster than us and have absolutely no patience. So, we have to give them a reason to not look at their device and come up with an answer in 30 seconds. Someday you'll use it. So we thought, well, music is the answer. Thank God, kids are still into music. Tragically, they're not buying it anymore, but that's okay. But they are more into music than ever. So we decided, let's use that as a common ground. Let's go to them. We need to stop dragging kids to our ideas of how to teach them. Who's your favorite artist? They all have one. Let's trace them back. Where do they come from? And they just stayed engaged, and we realized, we're onto something here. If we can find that common ground with a kid and capture their imagination, then the teachers can do their thing, and that's what happened. So the new methodology we kind of just stumbled into, but it certainly seems to be working. And then the third mission for us was very much to affect the dropout rate, and improve the graduation rate from high school, which has enormous consequences that nobody really talks about. But it's an absolute epidemic in our country. Close to 50%, some ridiculous percentage of the kids in the poor neighborhoods are not graduating from high school, and then close to 50% of them end up in the prison system somewhere in their lives. We feel very strongly about the arts integration. We don't think it's a luxury. We don't consider it an after-school thing. We consider the integration of the arts in the education process an essential part of it. So, I just want to say how happy I am to see it all in action right here, including one of my biggest things I've talked about for many decades is education should be learning the inclination of the kids first and foremost, and then encouraging it. Simple as that. Give them all the choices in the world, see what their inclination is, and then encourage it. and how exciting to see a class dedicated to just that, right here. So you guys are really doing everything I've ever dreamed of and more, You're doing great stuff, and thank you, and I will be back. I'll be back for sure.
That was nice.
Yeah, it was really mind blowing, and I'm gonna go back there, when we can, and spend more time with them. But they just, amazing. And our whole point is to teach kids how to think rather than what to think.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's needed for this future. So let's bring on the wonderful woman who really was responsible, or the principal of Orangethorpe, Dr. Ginger Frady, otherwise known as Dr. G.
Dr. G.
There she is.
Hello.
Hi, Ginger. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You've been a busy woman, I hear, in the off season here.
Since you left. We have invented a ton of new ways to do school in just 6 short months.
Just integrating the arts into every single class and every single grade level was just so cool to see. It was like, wow, it's actually possible to do this, And that was just one of the greatest moments of my life. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, it was like, the fulfillment of, a 15-year dream, just to see that it actually could work, because it was kind of a theory up until you,
Well,
you're the one who made it real,
We put theory into action here.
Yeah.
And I think for us, like, the big challenge was to keep that momentum going now that we're in a distance learning model. Like, how do we keep our arts going? One of the first things we did was get our art journals that all of our students have in their hands. So we got those to kids, and they were using them. Since school has come back in August, the kids have them at home. Teachers are using them through that distance learning platform. We did a school-wide Beatles Here Comes the Sun lesson with TeachRock at the end of the school year with Apple, and that was awesome. So just want to keep that forward momentum going.
Fantastic. Say hello to Drew Carey.
Hi, Dr.
Hi, Drew.
How did that feel after 15 years walking through the school and seeing it come alive like that?
I'm telling you, it was one of the most thrilling moments of my life. I am not exaggerating.
I'll bet.
You're not sure it's going to work. You think it's going to work.
Yeah.
When you see it, man, it's like, whoa, this is big time. This is a game changer.
Dr. G, how did you feel? Because you've been in education here for a long time. How did you feel when you were first going over the materials and the curriculum and seeing how it was laid out? Was it all ready to go out of the box?
Yes, my last 8 years in the classroom, I was 6th grade, so it was like perfect for 6th grade. But even my kinder teachers, and that's the team you're going to talk to next. But my kinder team was able to take the lessons that are written by TeachRock and adapt them down for even our 5 and 6 year olds.
Wow.
Let's bring on the teachers, huh, Ginger? What do you think?
Sounds good. So Katie Duchsherer and Alyssa Larnerd are 2 of our teachers here at Orangethorpe. They were a kindergarten team last year. This year, Alyssa's teaching kindergarten, and Katie has actually stepped out of the classroom, and she is now a coach and mentor. So she has 5 teachers that she's working with this year as a teacher on special assignment, kind of helping them continue to perfect their craft.
All right. And there they are.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Hello, lady.
Hello.
So tell us, how much of an adjustment did it require, and what do you think of the idea when Ginger proposed it?
We were excited to hit the ground running with all these amazing lessons for our kids.
Was you doing the class with the dance shows, right? That was your show.
Yes,
class.
with doing the twist with Chubby Checker.
Oh my God, it was just amazing. I'm telling you, Drew. When things go back up running, I'm telling you, I'm bringing the whole world to Orangethorpe. Okay, I'm bringing everybody I know to witness this, because you got to see this in action. After they show a video, Drew, and then they would say, okay, now talk to your partner about what you just saw, and these little kids would talk to each other, and it seems like a simple idea, but I thought it was just brilliant. So this was, I thought, a brilliant antidote to the modern sort of isolation age,
Katie and Alyssa, when you're teaching these kids, when you bring in something new like that, I know you've been teaching for a while. Every day must be a surprise to you what kids can come up with and what they do.
Yes, you have no idea.
Yeah.
It is always a surprise especially kindergartners, they're 5 when they're coming in or 6 when they're getting ready to go to first grade. Alyssa and I would team teach a lot. So that means we'd bring about over 60 5-year-olds together in one room and teach lessons. Mm-hmm. And because they could see our passion for it, they instantly were engaged.
Honestly, what blows your mind, and the thing that kept happening class after class was the sheer enthusiasm. You just don't see that kind of enthusiasm in schools. I'm sorry, and every grade level had this incredible vibe of enthusiasm.
I wish adults didn't lose that part of themselves when they grow up. There seems to be like an age where you're just like, oh, I can't do that anymore because I'm this age, which is insane to me.
I know.
Like, why can't you draw while you listen to music?
Especially these two teachers. I mean, they got to be at the same wavelength, right? As 5-year-olds, which I think is wonderful. I mean,
65-year-olds. Oof.
It's not as scary as you think.
I don't know. I'm a bachelor.
You can come next time, Drew.
You are more than welcome.
I'd love to see it.
All right. Well, thank you, Alyssa and Katie. Keep up the good work.
Teachers. God bless you.
We're going to bring in 2 students right now. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah, thank you. That was great.
So
you're a pandemic positive. That's what you guys are.
Yes, you are pandemic positive. Yeah, cool. Well, I'll see you in person again soon, I hope. Jim, do you want to introduce?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we've got Jerice Gumapal. He's a 6th grader, and Riley LeBond, who's also a 6th grader. And they can tell you a little bit about how TeachRock has changed how we do things here at Orangethorpe.
Hello, Riley and Jerice.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Say hi to Drew Carey.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Carey.
Your favorite game show host?
Maybe.
And your favorite principal? Dr. G?
Definitely.
So Riley, you've been at Orangethorpe for a while now, huh? So you're an expert on the school, and our curriculum, the arts curriculum. Have you noticed a little difference since we started using the arts? Trying to integrate the arts into the education system.
Yeah, definitely.
What was it? Just more fun? More? Tell us. What were your feelings?
I think it's more fun because we get to interact and stuff
with each other.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jerice? Same thing. You have some more fun.
Yeah, because mostly when I'm in the classroom, my classmates, I usually see them yawn a lot because before TeachRock, they would be yawning a lot because they don't really like school, because that's what they told me. But then after TeachRock, I see them less yawning, so I think they're pretty engaged with TeachRock.
Well, that's a good test.
Is there a moment or a lesson that sticks out in your mind more than another?
I think the one about Billie Eilish.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Jerice?
Well, we did do this lesson where we had to draw something depicting a lyric, like the Beatles, and we had to draw something that was similar to the lyric, and I kind of like that one because I like art. So.
Uh-huh.
What Beatles lyric was it?
I think it was the sun one. The sun. The Beatles.
Oh, here comes the sun.
One.
Here comes the sun.
That lesson's great for 6th grade.
I'll bet. I wish I had that lesson in 6th grade.
Drew wants to take the class now.
Yeah, I do, honestly.
We have we're a Title I school, so we have about 80% of our population is free and reduced lunch. So we do have some internet challenges with families. It would be great if it was like part of your utilities and it was just included and everyone had internet access, but unfortunately that's not how it works. So our district has worked really hard since March 13th to get everybody online and successfully online for a duration of time. And so fall has definitely been smoother than spring.
Wow. It should be free for everybody, shouldn't it?
It should.
Yeah.
Yeah, internet's getting to be like a thing that you just can't do without anymore, like water
Yeah.
or regular electricity and, you know.
All right. Well, thank you, gang. Thank you for coming and being part of this. We hope to see you in person sooner than later, you know, and just keep up what you're doing because spread the good vibes. You know, you guys are just you're setting a good example for the rest of the country. You know, you really are. And we thank you, Dr. Ginger. You're really wonderful. You are a great example for the rest of the country. And I hope every school becomes Orangethorpe.
Thanks. I hope so too.
Really. All right. See you soon.
Okay.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I want to thank a sponsor that's been with us with the Roadshow since the very beginning, and we really couldn't do the show without them, Chegg.com. Chegg, they have textbooks and study solutions is how they frame it. But how I frame it is if you need anything for teaching, learning, anything in the classroom at all, they're the one-stop shop, Chegg.com. So go there for all your teaching and textbooks and study needs. They're really great. You can't believe the stuff they have.
So anytime I start thinking like I've done a few things or maybe I'm getting busy, I think about your life, Eddie, and man, you got a hell of a life going, man, and so many cool things. We're gonna try and get into a few of them here, but I want to start with one that's that I just learned about. I want to start with the Pacific Ocean.
Holy mackerel! You're going back, hey, Stevie, you're going back to 1960. You weren't even born yet.
Well, now let's tell people what is the Pacific Ocean?
It's this big body of water that's off the western part of the United States of America. No, what it was is this. I had a rock and roll band, and I started in 1960, started singing rock and roll. I was a ball player. I used to play baseball, and then I fell in love with rock and roll with Little Richard and all of the Robert Johnson.
And when you would do it, were you the singer? Or you...
Yeah, I was a singer, but I was the worst singer in the band, and I was the lead singer. It was classic, you know.
It happens with bands sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it was a situation where it was a rock and roll band, and we played a lot. We really played a lot, and it taught me a lot about discipline, determination, perseverance, and patience. They were the key ingredients that I've been able to understand my life through because I learned it when I was 5 years old going into I played baseball every day, 7 days a week. So I had learned to play the game, and I learned that when I got into music, I said, shoot, if I do what I did in baseball, I could do this. I could, you know, so that 10,000 hour thing got into play, and I started to do, you know, just started to do it every day, 7 days a week. And I did it until, you know, 1973, 74, and I got to really, I recorded albums, and we played on the Sunset Strip. We were playing at the Gazaris. I played there for 4 years, 7 nights a week.
Wow.
Yeah, so I stayed there for 4 years, thinking, you know, 4 years at one nightclub, playing every single night, never had a break, no Christmas, no New Year's, we worked every night, but we didn't want to do anything else. 1964 through 1968. And those were the heights of the Sunset Strip, you know, singing every night, you know, playing 3 shows a night. But anyway, so rock and roll, Pacific Ocean, drove me as my vehicle from baseball right into performance. And I used to perform when I was on the ball field.
So anyway, so I want to talk to you about, so you started the Latin American International Film Festival, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about that a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then that kind of turned into the education thing, right? It kind of, one kind of led to the other?
Yeah. The festival, which started in 1998, then became a component of that. We would bring kids from all over Los Angeles that were along the metro line. The metro people let the kids come on free so they could come to Hollywood.
Oh, nice.
And they would get off right there at the Grauman's Chinese Theater. And that's where we were at the Egyptian and the Grauman's Chinese, and we'd use the El Capitan, those 3 theater screens. So they would come to that area right there, Hollywood and Highland, and they would use the metro, and then they'd get off and they'd come and work with us and watch the movies. And the schools loved it because we would bring them in and we would show them films from Latin America and all over the Iberoamerica, which is, you know, Caribbean, Spain, Portugal, Central America, South America, United States, of course. And we would show them movies, but they would be in Spanish with English subtitles. Okay. And we would show them, you know, there was grammar school, there were junior high, high schools, and colleges. So each one of those groups would have their own movie that they would watch. And of course, the grammar school kids and the junior high kids, the teachers loved us because they said, we can't get them to sit down and read for 2 hours. It's really hard to get them to do that. And here they come in here, they sit here for 2 hours, they're watching a movie and they got to read. If they don't speak Spanish, they got to read the subtitles.
Right.
So that became a real inspirational thing for the schools. And so more and more schools started to come. And so we started a writing program, story program, writing a story and then work on it before the festival. And then we would read them at the film festival. And at that time, it was in September, October. And so they would come from when the school started, and the teachers that were going to bring their kids would have the kids write stories. And then we would read them at the festival. So they were writing and they were telling stories. And so from that, we got into the school systems in 2003. And we started to bring the understanding of the audiovisual event, filmmaking, to grammar school kids, 4th graders. And Stevie, nothing has been the same since. 2003 to 2008, it was a process we were trying to learn how to do it. We needed to work on the curriculum and the way to teach it and all that. And then 2008 to 2010, it got to be a little stronger. So 7 years we're in 5 schools. And then all of a sudden, man, 2011, it broke, boom. And then in 2014, I shut down the festival and just carried the student film, the youth cinema project, and brought in filmmakers. I started to bring in filmmakers to help the kids. So we would bring into the classroom 2 professional filmmakers, graduates from the American Film Institute or Chapman or UCLA or SC or, you know, from New York, you know, and all over the country, wherever those students, because they would come here, kids are here trying to make their life inside of the art form of filmmaking, and they're young and they're trying to get ahead. So we would use them, pay them really good money. We'd pay them real good money to come and teach the kids. And so we put 2 filmmakers into the classroom. We had worked the curriculum for about 8 years, 9 years, and really got it solid. Right now we're in 16 school districts with over 1,400 kids per semester. Correct. And it's not an after-school special. This is all year. And they learn they'll learn about story. They learn how to write. They learn how to do pre-production, production, and post-production. They learn marketing. They learn distribution. They learn how to set up their LLCs. We would come in and then say, okay, now stand up, everybody. And then they rearrange the desks into groups. And then they would teach them, the basic fundamentals of story. And then in groups of 6, because there's usually 30 kids per class, they would start to learn how to tell their story. It's like you're writing your song, okay? You start off with a chord, 2 chords, and you start out singing, she loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. She loves you, yeah.
Oh, we don't have to pay for that.
I know we don't.
It's okay.
That's an old Mexican favorite. Again, oh yeah. But anyway,
were they shooting it on shooting stuff on their phones?
They go. Oh, no. We brought in equipment. We have real lights. They learn about how to set up their gaffing. They learn how to gaff. They learn how to set up makeup. They do their casting. They do location scouting. They do all they learn all of that.
Wow.
They learn everything. Each group is making their movies. And what we do, it starts off, again, the first 3 months is about writing. But we only use the first for the first 2 months, they have to write longhand. Not on a computer, longhand, all right? And then they got to read it. It's a synopsis, a story. You got to read your story to them. And it's usually half a page, 2/3 of a page, and they all stand up, and each one of the 6 kids in the group reads a story. From that reading, and they read it to the entire class, and then they go back to their groups. From that, the 6 kids, and this is the key to the whole structure that really put it to a very high level. They learned communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. Right from the get-go. They were collaborating with one another, and stuff that you can't learn when you're studying social studies, math, English. You don't learn collaboration. You don't learn communication. Yeah. You use it, but you don't use it with the whole group. So they learned how to do that, and then they learned how to tell a story. So each one of them had to tell a story. That we bring in the 2 people, and they teach them how to write the story. From writing their story, they end up speaking it. Then they go back to their groups, and they decide which story they want to do as their script. So they have to collaborate amongst the 6 and talk about which story they think that everybody appreciates and wants to do. And then they all start to write that story. So out of the 6, they got to collaborate, communicate with one another, and pick one of the 6. And then they end up moving forward with that story and make it into a 5-page script that ends up being about 3 minutes worth of movie making. And they write the script. And all of this is being done with 2 mentors helping them. They got the teacher there too.
What's great though, Eddie, and what I loved about this when you told me about it a couple of years ago, the same thing we're doing, which is integrating the arts into the education process. It changes the process itself. I mean, of course, we're all interested in the kids learning the arts, which is its own reward for the kids. And of course, we want the arts to be continued anyway. But it's beyond that, because the arts plays on a different part of the brain, and you don't have the pressure of that precision that has to do with the sciences or math. It has to do with imagination and instinct, and emotion, and the things you're talking about, collaboration and communicating in the real world, with real people. We're always trying to tell people we tell the teachers, we got to start teaching in the present tense. Okay, this generation wants something they can use now. They don't tell them learn this now and someday you'll use it. That ain't gonna work for this generation. Give them something they can use right now. And that's exactly what you're doing. Which is so fantastic.
Yeah, all these skills of compromise and collaboration. And, working together, giving a little, taking a little, pushing forth your idea. If you believe in it, that's all stuff you have to use. I don't care what you do for a living. Right. That's all the time. If you're working in a factory, you got to do that just to figure out where you're going to sit.
That's it.
That's it.
We're when we're doing this, Drew and Stevie, when we're doing this, we are not trying to make filmmakers, okay? What we're trying to make is lifelong learners.
Yeah.
The teachers say, man, when you guys are done with them, you guys, they're English, they like studying more, they like, they listen better.
I guarantee you right now, you got to be affecting the dropout rate. You got to be, right?
We went one school system, Stevie, in one school system in Santa Ana. Their junior and high school had lost 400 kids. Okay, dropout, going off to parochial schools, private schools, charter schools, in the Santa Ana public school system. We implemented our program in about 2011, 2012. We put it in. And by 2014, 600 kids returned. So they started to come back because they couldn't find this program anywhere else. They had you had to be inside of that school system. We were into the grammar schools, junior highs, and high schools. And now that chain has been picked up by Chapman University, and Chapman is giving scholarships to the students that go through this program.
Wow.
Full ride scholarships.
Chapman's
and
like
they're not
the best film school in Southern California right now.
Yeah, but guess what? You know what they said to them? They said, you don't have to come, your students don't have to come in here and become filmmakers. They can do anything they want. We want the kind of students that they are, we want those students here.
Wow.
And so we did it. We had crossed into that place where we had touched and affected the children so much. Yeah, I mean, some of them have become, first ADs. They have become directors. They are going into producing, because we've been doing this now long enough so that we're watching the kids go off into college and then graduating from college now too. So we're seeing we're tracking them. We have Stanford University that did an assessment. That's one of the best schools for assessment in the world. Their PhD program is just like exquisite, Stanford University's. So they came and they used their students that are in their doctoral program to come in and do the assessments for our program, because they had heard about it. So they came in and they started to work with us, and they wrote things that they said to me, and it's in the paperwork. They go, you guys don't even understand what you guys are doing. You have no idea what effect you are having on these students.
How did you get this idea in the first place? Where did this come from?
This came from 1998 when we started screening the films at the Latino International Film Festival. By the way, the Latino International Film Festival came back. We shut it down for 4 years, and then it came back, and it's been going now. This is the third year since we came back now, since we've been there.
Cool.
And this year we were virtual, and we were the first international film festival to go on virtual when COVID hit. So the COVID hit, and then we ended up going right away. We said all of our teachers, all of the mentors, our programs quickly got transformed into virtual school processes, and same thing with our whole film festival became virtual and free, so they could see it anywhere in the world, and that really it multiplied the amount of people that were actually visiting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah. So anyway.
Well, I guess we better wrap it up. But thank you so much, Eddie. I know how busy you are, man. I really pleasure, appreciate you doing this for us. And I want to tell everybody about what you've been doing, because it's so inspiring and still unique as far as I know. I think you're still the main one. This whole thing was created by you out there, and I hope it spreads, man. We got to make this thing spread around, because one of our big things is also increasing the graduation rate. What people don't realize is close to 50% of the kids in the poor neighborhoods are dropping out of high school. Close to 50%, and almost 50% of them end up in the criminal justice system sooner or later. That's just, those percentages are not tolerable. That we should not be tolerating that. And so what you're doing and what we're doing, I think is really important. And I love your whole thing, man. I love it. So thank you.
I love yours too, Steve.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You've done extraordinary work, Stephen. A really, really committed, you committed yourself to the community, which is really, it's fantastic. People say, why did you do that? And I said, well, basically, I got more out of it than they did.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
The feeling that I get from helping others, and it's just like, whew, it's a tremendous sense of self-respect and self-esteem and self-worth. And it's just like unbelievable. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you help, the more people help you. And it just is contagious. And that's what's happened. The community has turned out, and here we are. I'm 74, and I can honestly tell I'm working now more than I worked when I was in my 30s.
Congratulations again, Eddie, and keep doing what you do, baby. And we'll be checking it out.
Hey, you keep working what you're doing, man. I love you guys. Thank you, Drew. Thank you 1,000 times
Love
over,
you too, man. Love you too.
Yeah. God bless
Thank
you, buddy. Take care.
All right.
Thank you.
Spread Music Now puts students on a path to college, career, and life success by funding quality music education for underserved youth in and out of the classroom. The new Spread Music Now YouTube page picks up where their tour-based artist ambassador program left off as the country shut down. Check out their work at youtube.com/musicempowers. That's youtube.com/musicempowers. And subscribe to join in as they grow and share cool music content. Blackwing Foundation develops and supports innovative partnerships that have a sustainable, positive impact on arts and music participation and learning in the classroom. Blackwing is proud to support TeachRock through the Ignite the Arts Grants program to strengthen and enhance adoption of its distant learning initiatives, as well as development of new content that enhances students' lives.
Little Stephen launched the not-for-profit Rock and Roll Forever Foundation with a stellar founders board over a decade ago. And since then, they've provided teachers and students free standards-aligned resources through the TeachRock.org curriculum year after year. But 2020 is not like any of those years. Across the nation, schools are closed and teachers are teaching through Zoom. Did you know that preparing to lead a remote class can take a teacher 5 times longer than usual? And they're balancing that extra labor with the increased burden of social work and family responsibilities in this unprecedented time. That's why TeachRock developed a new distance learning format that allows teachers to quickly send lesson plans brimming with the engaging power of popular music straight to students' screens for free. And they're a hit. There have never been more teachers and students benefiting from the curriculum at teachrock.org than there are right now. So please join us in the movement to make music connect us, even when we're apart, by visiting teachrock.org/donate and supporting the curriculum today.
Let's say hello to Robby Krieger.
Yay. Wow. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Rob.
All right.
How you doing?
Good. Last time I saw you was in early 70s at the Santa Monica Civic when you guys played there.
Wow.
Do you remember that show?
I kind of do, because it was one of our first, I think it might have been the first place we played after the Roxy. It was our first, pretty big show for us.
Yeah.
That was also where the Tammy show was filmed, wasn't it?
Yeah. Any autographs on the wall in the green room from the Tammy show?
Yeah. Wow. Anyway,
that's all I remember. It's a great show, and you guys blew me away.
Thank you. I'm looking at your bio here, and I must say, one thing caught my eye. Did you go to a Ravi Shankar school? I don't know. I mean, was he directly involved?
Not as much as I would have liked. There was a guy named Hari Rao who was his second in command, and he was kind of the teacher. But Robbie did come once in a while, and that was
wow.
That was pretty cool.
Were you actually learning sitar or learning the Indian scales on the guitar?
No, it was sitar. It was everybody had a sitar, and they also taught tabla drums. So John Densmore was there too with the drums.
Oh. because you were playing those, Indian type scales, right on the first album, really, in the end, and right.
Yeah, that's right. I loved Ravi Shankar. I used to go to sleep every night listening to one of his ragas.
Yeah.
I took a class at UCLA, Indian music, also, which was very cool. You wouldn't believe all the beautiful instruments they have there. At least they used to. Probably still.
Yeah.
It's just a whole room full of stuff, unbelievable.
So you got a new album, first of all. Well, we should talk about that.
Yeah, I've got a new album out. It's the first one in a long time. It's called The Ritual Begins at Sundown. Here's the cover.
Very cool cover.
The cover, it's one of my paintings, actually.
I really like your art.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've had no formal training, or did you have formal training?
No, just my mom was she was real into art. She took classes and stuff, and so I grew up, kind of watching her do it.
And you've always been like sketching your whole life and
Yeah.
playing with colors and things like that.
Loved to draw when I was a kid, and I really just started painting for about maybe 25, 30 years ago.
Who's on it, first of all?
There are a lot of guys from Frank Zappa's old bands. Arthur Barrow, who is my longtime buddy, bass player, and Tommy Mars, keyboard guy, Chad Wackerman, the drummer, a couple of horn players from Zappa's groups, Sal Marquez, Jock Ellis, and we had a lot of different, a lot of cool jazz guys on the record.
So what I was going to say, what can you describe the style of the record, or is it a mixed?
It's sort of jazz rock, I guess you could call it, but it's a little different than you would expect. We wrote it. We wrote a lot of the stuff as a band together because playing with these guys, for a couple of years, and I think that's a great way to write.
You must feel a lot of creative freedom at this stage of your career, because like when you got to prove to anybody, you could just do what you want for fun now, or things that excite you. Is that kind of how you approached it?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I still do the Doors stuff, and that's totally different. But then, when I want to do what I want to do, it's mostly, crazy jazz kind of stuff. And
are there vocals on it?
no, there's almost no vocals.
Oh, it's all instrumental. All right. When you do the Doors, who are the other two Doors now?
I have different guys. I have my drummer Ty Dennis. He's been with me for maybe 30 years. He played when Ray Manzarek and I played together, starting in year 2000. We played about 15 years together, doing the Doors. And Ty was there. Phil Chen, great bass player, who's
oh yeah,
I think you know who he is.
Yeah, he's with the Faces, right, for a while. Or
I played Jeff Beck. He played on Jeff
oh,
Beck.
Jeff Beck, yeah. Who sings?
My son Waylon sings.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's really great. And sometimes this guy Dave Brock sings. He has a Doors tribute band called Wild Child.
Yeah, I never got to ask. I'm sorry, I never got to ask anybody in a band as famous as yours what it's like to see somebody in a tribute band doing like their best impression of you. Is it weird? Like, how does that feel to you? Is it weird, fun? Is it like a thrill or what?
It's different depending on the band, you know.
Yeah, because some are good and some aren't good. But I know that,
you know, when I first saw Wild Child about 20 years ago, I thought they were great. You know, this guy Dave Brock was he really did the old Jim thing pretty well. And, they were good. I used to go sit in with them.
wow.
You know, I hadn't played Doors stuff in probably 20 years at that point. And, you know, I started seeing these tribute bands and saying, God damn, they fill up the whole Roxy or this place or that place. And they were having so much fun, you know. I started sitting in with them. And then, you know, maybe and starting 2000, I went to Ray Manzarek and said, hey, man, we should start doing that stuff again.
Yeah, if people are paying for the tribute band, they'll pay for the real band.
Right.
Yeah. But you know what? I go to well, not this year, but I usually go to the Orange County Fair every year here in Southern California. And I really only go, the main reason I go is to see the tribute bands, because every night they have like one or two really good tribute bands that do the fair circuit. And they're just usually amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the Pink Floyd guys, supposed to be, I've never seen them, but I've heard they're great.
Let's talk about the charity thing, Robbie. You got a great charity thing. I guess it's connected to your painting, or how's that work?
Yeah, there's a thing called Art for a Cause, and so I give my copies of my paintings, and they sell them at different charities, and so they get to keep all the money, and it works out pretty good.
I noticed I heard you don't sell your originals. What do you do with them?
I keep them.
Yeah?
Down at the studio mostly.
But
at the right price, I would sell them.
And so what? So the charity gets a copy. How's it work?
G Clays, you know what those are?
Fine art inkjet prints. You know, real nice paper.
Yeah, good copies, and they, you know, it's. I think it's a good way to get my artwork out there and to help different charities. But I do other charities too. I've been doing. We do a show every year for St. Jude's, the last 10 years or so.
Oh, nice.
And we used to do Pat Tillman Foundation. And I have a thing called the Music Path, which is a deal where we're trying to get music into schools here in Glendale.
What do you know? Small world.
Now we're talking. Yeah, that's great. That's great. When you guys were you broke, you got discovered where at the whiskey or the was it the whiskey that you were playing regularly?
Yeah, we played there for probably 3 or 4 months as the house band. So that was.
And who hired? Was that Mario at that time? Who was?
Mario and Elmer.
Elmer, yeah.
Elmer Valentine.
Man, I miss those guys.
Bill Tanzini. Yeah.
Wow. And how
Mario's daughter does it now. She's pretty cool.
How often were you playing? We play once a week or twice a week?
Back then, it was every night, man. 6 nights a week.
Oh, wow.
2 sets a night.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
it was great for us because we really got our material honed down there, you know.
We doing a mixture of covers and originals?
Yeah. So it was mostly originals. You know, at first it was kind of half and half, and then people wanted to hear more of our original stuff, so that was cool.
What covers did you do?
Oh man, we used to do Gloria, you know.
Oh man, I would love to get a copy of that.
Did a lot of blues stuff. You know, we did some Motown kind of stuff, Al Green, all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
I remember seeing a picture actually of Van Morrison and Jim Morrison.
Right.
Right. He came up and jammed with you one night, right?
Yeah, because they were like the lead act, and we were the second act, and we got to know them pretty well over the week that we played with them. And so the last night, the whole band, both bands got up and we did Gloria together. That was amazing.
Wow.
Since doing Gloria together.
Wow.
I hate camera phones, but I wish there was one for that.
Yeah. No. When do you paint? Do you paint on a kind of schedule? Do you think to yourself like, oh, I need to paint because I have another charity thing coming up, or you just when the mood hits you, when you just need
I'm more like that when the mood hits me. I like to paint on plexiglass for some reason.
And use oils?
No, acrylic.
Acrylic on plexiglass. Wow.
Yeah.
There was something about it. I mean, I only can see the pictures online, but there's something like, I don't know, shiny or bright about them. Right. That's what it is.
And the cool thing is, if you put them up in a window, right, the light comes through. So whole different, it's really like having two different paintings.
Let's see that album cover one more time. Let people.
Also we got this one that just came out. This box set.
Oh, that's that picture we were just talking about with Henry.
That's the picture Henry took.
Yeah.
So it's a vinyl, and they also have a couple of CDs in there. I don't know if you can. Wait a minute.
Do you remember taking that picture that day?
Oh yeah, of course. How about this one?
Yeah, we talked about that one too.
Yeah.
That's inside the Hard Rock Cafe?
Right, in the Hard Rock Cafe. There was this one story that I was going to tell when Henry was on. Before we went into the Hard Rock, we were across street, and this bum comes up and he asks for for some money, and so Jim says, "Well, all right, but you got to do something, entertain us." So the guy says, "Well, I can whistle really loud, louder than anybody in the world." And so we said, "Oh, okay, let's see you do it, man." So he did this, and I swear to God, it was so loud. It was like an air horn going off or something. And we said, "How the hell do you do that?" He goes, "Jesus."
How much did he get?
I think he got a couple bucks. That was
a lot of money back then. Any kind of paper back then was big.
On that note. All right, so everybody's getting Robby's new album, and also Morrison Hotel is a reissue. Is there extra tracks on there?
50th anniversary of Morrison Hotel.
There's some extra tracks?
Pardon? Oh yeah, there are some outtakes. A couple of different songs. There's on one there's this one song. There must be 20 outtakes, and it's kind of interesting to see how it evolved into the final song.
Yeah, cool.
I love stuff like that.
What do you call it? Roadhouse Blues. There's a couple of outtakes from that.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
I always imagine those songs, because I've heard them so much. I always imagine those songs coming out perfect the first time, and that's it. Just as a listener, I'm like, oh, they did really killed that.
On the first album, it was like one take. Everything was one or two takes.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, we played that stuff at the Whiskey every night.
Right.
Long. It was so simple. Just turn on the tape machine, and that was it, man. Light My Fire was 2 takes.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you do the second one just for safety, or?
I always wished we had done 3 or 4 takes because I could have done that solo better, you know.
Oh, are you kidding? It was perfect, man. Don't even think about it.
Glad I did.
Don't second guess yourself.
Yeah, man. All right, Robby. Thank you, man. Good
Thanks,
seeing
man.
you.
All right, good to see you guys.
Keep up the art, man. It's great.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Get it into the schools.
We want to thank our community partner, Shinola Detroit. Shinola supports TeachRock's mission to empower teachers, to keep the arts in the DNA of schools, and to use music to keep students engaged, enrolled, and on the path to graduation. TeachRock would also like to thank HyperX Gaming. Now, HyperX is a product division of Kingston Technology. If you're a gamer, you got to know about HyperX. It's all about high performance. They're the world's largest independent memory manufacturer, Kingston Technology. They feature the best-in-class components. They deliver superior performance, quality, and aesthetic design. Great design. For more than a decade, they've been doing this. HyperX products are the choice of top-rated gamers, tech enthusiasts, and overclockers worldwide.
Very excited about our next guest, Drew. Me too. This cat is one of the great photographers in rock history, and he didn't start off that way. You know, he's a member of the Modern Folk Quartet, and which became Quintet at some point. And they were just a very cool part of the folk rock scene, you know, like Love Spoonful and part of that scene, the Byrds and Mamas and Papas, and but Phil Spector produced them, which is an unusual combination, you know.
Yeah, it is.
But he would go on to be the official photographer at both Monterey and Woodstock, which is incredible, you know, alone. Theme song. Let's play a little bit of the theme song, and then we're gonna bring on the great Henry Diltz. Hey Henry, how you doing?
Hey.
I love that song, Henry.
Yeah, me too. Harry Nielsen wrote that song.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Man, his name pops up in a lot of ways like that, doesn't it? Harry Nielsen.
We were Phil Spector's folk rock experiment.
And a successful experiment.
Yeah. I mean, we spent a whole summer going up to his house and sitting around the piano. He'd say, you sing this, playing he would play his 12-string with us. And then we would, at night, we'd go play the Trip on Sunset Strip. And he would come in and play, There Is a Rose in Spanish Harlem. He'd play his 12-string, and we would do the oohs and the ahs.
Wow, he would sing, he sang it?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, you know, he didn't exactly produce it in a folk rock. it was an advanced folk rock style.
Right, yeah. It was the wall of sound, but I have my 5-string banjo in there too.
Wall of banjos.
A wall of folks going on there.
What's wrong with a wall of banjos, everybody?
Yeah. Too many banjos.
That was great though, man. So you just kind of started taking pictures for the hell of it, right?
On the road, singing folk music, doing college concerts and folk clubs back and forth across the country. We went into a little secondhand shop one day, and there was a table full of little cameras, $20. And one of the guys in the group said, oh, a camera, I'll have one. And without even thinking, I said, yeah, me too. Never, you know. And we put film in there. We took pictures for a few weeks, and when we got the film developed, it was slide film. I had no idea what it was. I never thought about it. I was just framing up my friends and framing up stuff on the road. So we had a big slideshow, and that's what blew my mind. When I saw that first picture, 8 feet wide, glowing in the dark, you know, with all our hippie friends watching. Wow. I said, this is magic. I'm going to do more of this. And I would spend all my days in Laurel Canyon photographing my friends so that on the weekend we could have a slideshow and I could show them pictures of themselves. and segued into it. You know,
I love how intimate. Like one of the great things about your photographs to me is how intimate they are. Is you could tell that you're like a friend of the band, or you have their trust, or whoever's picture you take, because you catch them at a lot of intimate moments. And I know that as a photographer, anybody that's been photographed, you really have to have a lot of trust there and kind of ingratiate yourself so they kind of forget about you or something like that, or let their guard down so you can catch those moments. Was it because you were a musician in the first place that let you get in with them? Or?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I knew all these people from on the road. I mean, David Crosby, Graham Nash, Stephen Stills, Mama Cass, all these people I met on the road as a fellow musician. So when I was hanging out with them, they didn't see me as a photographer. And also, a lot of the time, I wasn't on assignment. You know, I wasn't, okay, I'm here, let's get this picture. I was just there for the afternoon hanging out and just, you know, taking little candid random photos when nobody really noticed. You know, and secondly, I'm fascinated by people, not just musicians. I mean, I studied psychology in college simply because I was interested in people. What is this? How do we do this? Who are we? You know, and so that same fascination went into the photography, being able to be a fly on the wall, as they say, you know, and just watch people. That's kind of what I do. I'm an observer. You know, I document. They say, oh, this is a great shot. We could use this for publicity, you know, show it to our manager. And then it got to be album covers. And then I teamed up with a really cool guy named Gary Burden, who was a friend of Mama Cass's. And he was an architect helping her remodel her house. And Mama Cass said, Gary, I want you to do my first solo album cover. And he said, well, Cass, I'm an architect. I'm not a graphic artist. And she said, well, you make a blueprint, you make an album cover. What's the difference? And so he said, oh, okay. And then right after that, he saw me at a love-in taking photos, you know, one Sunday afternoon in Griffith Park. And he said, hey, you want to help me do an album cover? And I did. And we did 200 album covers together.
Can you explain really quickly, since you were at one, to any young people watching, what a love-in?
A love-in was like, it was like on a Sunday afternoon, and the word would get around. Hey, we're all going to meet like at noon at Griffith Park, you know, over by the merry-go-round or wherever it was. You know, Elysian Park was another place, and all the hippies would, you know, all the musicians and friends, and I call them hippies. I mean, that's what we all were. And we'd all go there and just have a lovely afternoon. Kind of people would spread out blankets, bring the kids. People would have. Some musicians would bring their guitars. There'd be music and just a hangout.
Just a chill hang, right?
Yeah.
I consider you a photojournalist as well as just a regular portrait photographer, just because you get candid moments and you're following people around. So you have a lot of that in your work. And you really have this gift of like catching that perfect moment. You have so many good unposed looking posed pictures.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I have a framing Jones, is what a friend of mine told me once. You have a framing Jones. I like to frame, you know. That was just the wonderful thing about picking up a camera. Oh wow, you can look at little slices of life. You can aim it where you want. You can aim it at a group of friends, and you can wait for just that moment where they all laugh and you go click and you got that, you know?
Yeah, you got that down.
I know that it's up to me to pick that moment when I push the button. And I do tend to wait until they really look good, or there's a moment, there's some energy. You know, I watch, and then when it kind of happens, I take the picture. Sure, digital now is a whole new world, you know. And I said, 15 years ago, I said, I will never go digital.
One of those guys?
I am a film guy, you know. And then I picked up, and I was using Nikon cameras, you know, and 35 millimeter little spools of film. And I picked up a friend of mine's Canon, a big telephoto lens, and I looked through it. I said, "Oh my God, this focuses itself, and it sets its own light reading." I always had a light meter, a spot meter to take a reading. I said, "This is amazing." I mean, you don't even have to be there to take the picture almost. And so I got into digital because it was just kind of easier and quicker. There's a lot of advantages to it.
Let's look at some cool stuff. Let's look at the Doors stuff first.
Look at that great picture.
That's an album cover right there.
Yeah, look how great it is. A frame a frame and a frame and a frame.
We went down to this old derelict, funky hotel that Ray Manzarek had seen. And we went down there and I told the guy behind the desk, we're just going to come in the lobby and take some photos. And he said, no, you can't take any photos. A slumlord owned that hotel. And everybody was scared to death of this guy. And you can't without the owner's permission. So we went outside and we were standing. I said, well, we can do it in front of the window. They can't stop us because we're outside on the sidewalk. And we were just doing that. And I looked through the window. I saw a light go on. And I looked in and I said, hey, that's the elevator light. The guy left the desk. You see the elevator light right in the middle of the picture there?
Right.
The guy behind the desk left and the lobby was empty. And I said, quick, run in there, you guys. And I first started taking right where that passenger loading sign is. I was right close up, kind of looking sideways down the window. And my partner, Gary Burden, said, no, back up. Get the whole window. And I backed up all the way across the street and to get that whole window framed like that, because
even the street lamp on the right is giving you a little bit of a frame too. It's such a great picture.
And that little the car light on the left side.
Yeah. And was Jim Morrison wearing a jacket or just that white shirt?
No, just a white shirt.
Because that's amazing too, that you get that. It's almost like that somebody styled it and have the lead singer in white to make him pop.
Yeah, and said, okay, you go there and put your hands up like this, and you go there, and Robby, you stand in the back. No, they ran in there and hit those spots. No one said a word.
Man.
Yeah, and
nowadays that would have taken an hour to put that picture together.
Yeah, right. It took us 5 minutes. We walked outside, and Jim said, well, let's go get a drink. It was about 4:00 in the afternoon.
Sure.
We climbed into their Volkswagen van and drove a few blocks to Skid Row, where it was all bars and pawn shops, and we didn't know where to stop. And then someone looked out the windshield and said, look, on the next corner, it says Hard Rock Cafe. We said, in fact, this I learned later that this little bar had been there since the 30s. So hard rock meant mining or rock in a hard place or something. And, when their Morrison Hotel album came out, there was a picture of this on the back. And they got a call from London one day, and the voice said, we're starting a cafe here in London. Would you mind if we use that name? And they said, no, go ahead. Wow. So in that one day, we did the Morrison Hotel, which years later I've started a gallery, a music photo gallery with a bunch of friends. And we accidentally named it the Morrison Hotel Gallery. So we discovered the Morrison Hotel Gallery and the Hard Rock Cafe, sort of two empires, within a span of a couple of hours. And this is a shot in the Hard Rock Cafe with Jim sort of pinning me from the other side of the bar.
What time of year was that? Because it says Happy New Year on the sign.
Yeah, it was like December 17th, something like that.
Wow.
1969, yeah.
Wow.
But, you got that from Jim a lot. Jim was, people think he was kind of a wild man. He was very quiet, he just liked to observe. He was a real observer because he was a poet, He liked to just watch what was going on. In this bar, he would buy beer for some of the old guys in there, the old winos, because he wanted to hear their stories. They'd say, I ran away from home, joined the Merchant Marines when I was 16. And he'd just sit there listening to that. You could see, poems going in his head,
How did you get the light in there with all the backlight in there? How did you get the light in there? Where's that coming from? Another window off to the side or something?
I think one of my millennials.
All natural light you use, right? All the time?
I didn't use any light. I always use natural light. Only God's light, as I say. There was a little bit of light, and actually somebody did lighten that a little bit. Originally, it was a bit darker.
There's another album cover, huh? The Crosby, Stills and Nash?
Yes, that was another.
Let's see that one.
Granddaddy album cover that day. Wow.
Is this natural light too?
Natural light. Yep.
That's insane.
Yeah, right off of Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood. And, you know, these guys were doing their first album, and I'd known all of these guys for a few years before this. And me and Gary knew them, and they were recording, but they had no photo, you know, to put in the trade magazines or the newspaper, nothing to announce that they were recording together. So we said, well, let's go out and we'll just take some random shots. We were looking for an album cover at this point. We were just trying to take publicity shots. But we found this little funky house and we found that couch and they jumped on there. We took a bunch of shots. And once again, Gary, so I took this shot right up close, framing it, right? I had to frame it just right. And then Gary said, no, back up, get the whole house. So once again, I backed up all the way across the street and we took that picture. And then, so it was a wraparound album. But the story goes that we looked at these pictures a few days later and they said, you know, that's a pretty good shot. That could be our album cover, except we're sitting backwards because now we're going to name ourselves Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and that's Nash, Stills, and Crosby. And there was some talk about flipping the picture over, but then Stephen would be playing backwards, you know. So I said, well, let's just go back. A couple days later, let's just go back to the house. You jump on the couch, bang, bang, bang. I mean, 5 minutes, we'll get it the right way. We all got in the car, drove back, and the house was gone. There was no house. It had been bulldozed all the way in a parking lot. Yeah.
It kind of looks like a place that's getting ready to get bulldozed.
Oh, man, that's funny. That's a funny story.
All natural light. Crazy, man. Do you have a favorite time of day since you use all natural light?
Yeah, magic hour always, you know. So yeah, I mean 4, 5, 6 o'clock these days, 7 o'clock when it's soft.
Not the morning with a rock and roll.
No. I don't get up till noon. You know?
The next day.
I go to bed at 4 and I get up at noon. That's it.
We got one more picture. Let's show it because it's a cool picture.
Yeah, this is a Laurel Canyon picture up at Mama Cass's house. And Mama Cass isn't in it, but she would always meet these English groups on TV shows when she was on there with the mamas and papas. And so one day in Hollywood, she met Cream, and she met Eric Clapton, and he was very shy, and he didn't know anybody in town. And she said, well, come up to my house tomorrow. I'll have some friends over. We'll have a little barbecue. And so she invited David Crosby there in the back, and he brought his newly discovered protege, Joni Mitchell. And she sat there and played her whole first album. Before they were in the midst of recording it, so no one had heard any of these songs. And Eric Clapton is sitting there, and he stared at her the whole, 40 minutes. He just staring at her because you see, she's got her fingers right across the fretboard. She tuned her guitar, and then she didn't play chords. She just laid her finger straight across. And the great blues player had never seen that before. He was gobsmacked, as they say, And then in the foreground is Mama Cass's daughter, Owen, chewing on one of my Kodak film cans.
Wow.
Amazing shot.
That was
really.
a great day. Yeah.
Man.
So I would highly recommend the documentary. Is it just called Laurel Canyon, Henry? What's it called?
Right. Laurel Canyon. It's a two-part.
It's called Laurel Canyon. Yeah, it's a great documentary, and Henry's featured in it, and a lot of these pictures, and it's great. It's a great documentary.
Amazing.
Anyway, really great to see you. Great to meet you, Henry. And
thanks, Steve.
Hopefully we'll all be able to get a drink at Morrison Hotel.
Yeah. When the bugs go away, right?
Or the Hard Rock Cafe, I should say. Yeah. When the bugs go away. Yeah.
Right. Okay, we'll do that one day.
Cool, man.
Cool.
All right.
Good talking to you guys.
All right. Well, that was a hell of a show, Drew, wasn't it?
I loved it. It was a thrill for me. I don't know everybody. I hope everybody at home had such a good time as I did.
We want to thank our fabulous guests, Edward James Olmos, doing fantastic thing. And people should tune in and support that. Write to us and we'll tell you how to do that. Joe Walsh, Very cool, Joe Walsh. He's so funny and so great. Robby Krieger from the Doors, who does his, become a great painter and does that stuff for charity. And our teachers at Orangethorpe, Ginger Frady, and all the great teachers at Orangethorpe. I can't wait for school to come back so I can bring everybody down there to see our partner school, in Orange County.
Yeah, that Orangethorpe section was really moving for me. That was really great to see.
The two cool dudes who got our curriculum into the school system.
That's Brian and Michael.
Brian and Michael.
Yeah.
Say their last names.
Michael Sinclair and Brian Fritch.
Right. Fantastic. Henry Diltz. Thank you, Henry, bringing all the great pictures. And
oh yeah, he was fascinating.
And Michael DeBar, of course, helping us out.
Yeah.
Our morning guy at Little Stevens Underground Garage, Channel 21, Sirius Satellite. And the next time we see everybody will be at our annual fundraiser, November 21st. Our Stand with Teachers annual event, which we'll have a bunch of fun people on that show also. So it's been a terrific year. In spite of this pandemic, at least we had the curriculum already online, so teachers are using it. All I can say is don't rush back to school till it's safe.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. Make sure it's safe. I worry about the teachers, not so worry about the kids, but the teachers and the grandparents, once the kids come home.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Maintenance people, janitors.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Caterers and, in the lunchroom and bus drivers, So, we gotta really play it safe, and everybody should be wearing masks. It should be mandatory masks in every school. Everybody should be demanding that. But anyway, that aside, thank you all for tuning in. And we'll see you November 21st. Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. It was a pleasure.
You're the best. Thank you.
We'll end tonight's episode with a special video from Robby Krieger's new album, but first, some special thanks. The staff at TeachRock.org would like to offer an extra special thanks to their founder and fearless leader, Stevie Van Zandt. We're so grateful for the time you dedicate and donate to this work, for your heartfelt commitment to teachers and students, for your unique worldview towards music and culture that brings people together and this work to life. Thank you, Stevie. TeachRock also sends a safely distanced bear hug to Drew Carey, who now must add scholar to the list of talents on his lengthy resume. Drew, thank you for the time you've invested in bringing the joy of music and the TeachRock mission to the masses. Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Chegg Incorporated, and Dan Rosenwig for making Roadshow possible. We also thank Von Sorensen for his outstanding Roadshow support. Tonight's show was also brought to you by the Blackwing Foundation, Shinola Detroit, Vic Gutman and Associates, Spread Music Now, and HyperX Gaming. As always, tonight's show was hosted by Stevie Van Zandt and Drew Carey. It featured guest artists Henry Diltz, Michael DeBar, Edward James Olmos, Robby Krieger, and Joe Walsh. We welcome guest educators Katie Duchsherer, Dr. Ginger Frady, Brian Fritch, Alyssa Larnerd, and Michael Sinclair. Special thanks to those Orangethorpe 6th graders, Jarice Gumapal and Riley LeBlond. Tonight's show was produced by Stevie Van Zandt, Bill Carbone, Michael Ann Haders, and Amani Wilson, with production assistance from Rolando Alvarado, Eddie Bernard, Carly Gora, Abigail Rice, and me, Rich Russo. A special thanks to Louis Rosanico, Rick Buck, Kid Leo, Susie Buffett, Ted Schlein, and Kenny Weinstein, with technical production from Digimentors, Shrushi Hebar, Rajni Menon, Neil Parikh, Steve Taylor, Julia Weeks, Sri Srinivasan. And now we leave you with Slide Home from Robby Krieger's new album, The Ritual Begins at Sundown. Take it away, Robby.